Let's preview some games. So the Sunday early games, of course, Monday for us. No Thursday night football this week coming off the New Year's. So our first game we've got here is Saints taking on the Falcons. Very much playing for pride and draft picks at this point.
Are there 2 Saturday games? Cowboys and Eagles, and I think your Broncos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I might have balled this because I did it early.
I think they've been flexed.
Sorry, yes. So when you say Sunday early games, do you mean actual Sunday for us?
So Saturday in America, Sunday in Australia.
Pets just fucked it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
if anyone else wants to write some notes, please be my guest.
Hey, you had all week. You're the one that's been dealing with the spicy flu, so.
I've been writing the notes the existence of this podcast.
We're the only one that can spell, so come on.
Anyways, if someone wants to bring up the games in order, that would be highly appreciated.
So Chiefs versus Broncos, 8 a.m. on Sunday.
Can you find that in our notes, Jimmy?
I'm surprised you weren't all over that as a Broncos fan, but maybe because they got nothing to play for.
And we're playing the Chiefs,
so you don't care.
I did want to ask you, Sean, what were your thoughts on Denver's year? Obviously, the defense looked really, really nice. Running the ball quite effective with that dual-headed backfield with Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon.
Yep.
A very difficult division to be in.
Mm-hmm.
Did you think it was on par with what you're expecting, below par, above par? What were your thoughts?
Probably slightly below par because I thought we'd get to 500. So can't do that, of course, now. And playing the Chiefs is the last game that we're talking about here. They're current 11-5 and will clinch the division, but also trying to get the number 1 seed. So they're going to come out firing for this. I think offensively, to answer the question there, was pretty poor this year, so I don't think Pat Shermer and I don't think our special teams coach will be back They shouldn't be back, let's put it that way.
Is Fangio going to be back? You've been gunning for him.
Yeah, great question. So, again, Vic, excellent defensive coach and coordinator, and kind of really... if you really want to go back a month, go look at what Cincinnati did to Denver when they only scored 15 points. So you kind of can see the defensive talents there. They've got an unreal defense, like you said. And I'm going to quote Chris Collinsworth here. In that first Chargers game, he basically said, hey, if Justin Herbert's on the Broncos team, they're probably in the Super Bowl. So that's where you answer the question of they're a good young team. They've got the talent. They don't have a quarterback. Locke's going to play this week. Teddy's missed the last month, I think, in football, essentially, since he got concussed. I think his season's done because he's not going to play in this one. Locke really, I think he's got the talent and the ability. I don't think we've got the offensive capability to coach him up. Would not surprise me if they go after Wilson, Rodgers of that ilk when those guys potentially are available. So I think they'll look to get one of those guys as a replacement in this one.
Just going back to Teddy Bridgewater, you as the resident Broncos fan, have you heard anything regarding his overall health? Is he going to be okay?
He was back.
It's just concussion, right? There's no structural damage.
Yeah, just a concussion. He was back limited at practice this week, but he's still in the protocols, so he's not going to play.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's good to hear. You know, obviously, concussion, nothing to sneeze at. But yeah, to know that everything, you know, structurally in his neck and head is all good. That's good news.
They do finish at home in this one, but I think I've been a Judas and picked the Chiefs. Most of Denver was on COVID last week as well in that loss to the Chargers. So they'll get a lot of troops back. But yeah, they've struggled a little bit with the COVID, whereas the Chiefs are on the up. So I picked them.
I'll pick the Chiefs.
Chiefs for mine. I'd imagine it's probably 4 Chiefs here.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I've got the Chiefs as well. They are heavy favourites, sitting there at $1.16 at the moment. Broncos are out at $5.30. We have a line of 11.5.
And the Chiefs will want to do their best here because they can possibly rely on the Texans to do them a massive favour in knocking off the Titans to clinch that number 1 seed. But if that doesn't happen and unlikely that it does. They'll want to have that number 2 wrapped up.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening. We'll get to Derrick Henry in a minute.
Texans beat the Titans already this year. Or this season.
Yeah. Okay. The other Saturday game, Cowboys, Eagles. Cowboys have clinched the division, and the Eagles will also go to the playoffs at 9-7. Do we think... Well, let's start with this game. I think I've gone Cowboys. Let me double check. Yes, I picked Cowboys. Thoughts on the table?
Cowboys?
Boys for mine.
Yep.
Although they do worry me sometimes. They're meant to have this elite offense, and then sometimes it just doesn't get going.
Yeah, just ask CeeDee Lamb.
I think they get the job done here against the Eagles, but I don't know if there's legitimate Super Bowl contenders.
No. Very up and down, aren't they? Cowboys and didn't play their best game last week against the Cardinals.
No, not at all. And there's been multiple occasions where they've been quite lackluster against, Sean, your Denver Broncos.
Yep.
Really found them out. Obviously that they're going to be there playing a playoff game, but can they get past that first round? I'm not sure.
I mean, Eagles as well. I think they probably deserve a bit of respect. At the start of the year, I probably didn't rate them and didn't think they'd make the playoffs, but they've won 4 straight now to put themselves in a position where they are going to be playing playoff football.
I think they're very dependent on Hurts playing well, of course. And
big run game behind Hurts, Sanders, Howard. Do I see them...
surprising anyone in the playoffs? No, I don't. I think
not in the playoffs. Could
they
probably
beat the
Cowboys this weekend? Like Cowboys with their loss of the Cardinals, they can't be 1 seed. I don't know if they
rest some blokes.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hard to say.
I'm not in the tipping comp, so it doesn't matter who I pick. I'll pick Cowboys.
Yeah.
The tipping comp doesn't matter because both me and Monk forgot our tips one week, so Sean's going to absolutely pitch it in. Yeah. I'm going to disagree, boys. I think the Eagles on their day, I think they've got that X factor, and I think they've shown that this year in knocking off a few teams where you wouldn't have expected them to do any good. But yeah, like you say, it all comes down to Jalen Hurts. If he can just control the offense, not turn the ball over, and rely on a heavy run game, who knows? Maybe they can get through to the second week. Are they going far this year? Nah.
Not the NFC.
No. Monks, what are your tips and odds?
Yeah.
Cowboys.
Well, I guess we'll start with Eagles. You mentioned that they're on a 4-game win streak. That is against 2 games against Washington, 1 against the Giants, 1 against the Jets.
Yeah.
Elite competition.
Yep.
That's it. They are putting points up, though, which is very promising. And then on the Cowboys side, if fantasy is anything for me to go off, like Prescott has been up and down. He's not the quarterback you expect, high 20-odd points like he did in previous seasons. So it does have me a little bit worried. That being said, I have still backed the Cowboys in. They are favourites $1.45. The Eagles are out at $2.76. We've got a line of 4.5, sorry, and total match points of 43.5.
Don't like any of that. Okay, so we'll go back to Saints and Falcons. We mentioned both out of the playoffs. Probably need to give a shout out to Jameis Winston for what he was doing for the Saints because they've been hot garbage since he got injured, unless they were playing the Buccaneers and Tom Brady. But outside of that, they've really struggled. Kamara's been trying to carry them as best they can. I've kind of gone a bit of a surprising one in this. I've picked the Falcons. Like some of what they're doing. Pitt's got over 1,000 yards, first tight end to do that in 30 years as a rookie. And the other news, it sounds like Ridley's potentially going to be moved on and go elsewhere. Okay. Which he hasn't been playing the last 6-7 weeks. So, but I like the way the Falcons are going. I think they've played better recently, whereas the Saints have been worse. So that's my thoughts.
I don't mind that, Sean. I'm going to go the other way and go the Saints, but they've been very lackluster, obviously, since that Jameis Winston injury. Is Taysom Hill a franchise quarterback? Look, all things kind of point to probably not. Atlanta, fact, obviously haven't been any good this year, but a lot of people had them banned right down there, with your Detroits and with your Jacksonvilles and your Houston Texans, et cetera. If they can finish the year 8 and 9, good on them. I'll just go the Saints on the back of their defense. I think their defense might be able to get them through this one.
I like Saints defense as well. Cam Jordan had a great game last week, albeit against the Panthers kind of patchwork offensive line. But yeah, I think the Saints defense keeps them in enough games that their offense is it has been a big step down since Jameis left, but I trust the Saints defense more than the Falcons defense. I'll go Saints.
Miss Monkey?
Oh, Michael, just on that, the last 3 weeks, this is how many points the Saints offense have scored. 9, 3, and 18, and they won 2 of those games.
Yeah.
That's it.
Tips and odds?
Yeah. I've gone Saints as well. They are the team that beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That being said, they're definitely not the team that they were at the start of the season. They are favourites up against the Falcons at $1.52. The Falcons are out at $2.55. We've got a line of 3.5 and total match points of 40.
No, don't like any of that. Unders. All right. As we get refreshments here, can you just scroll down, Mr. Monkey? Steelers taking on the Ravens as the next game, potentially Big Ben's last game. You might need to find out for us as well who's got a quarterback for the Ravens, because Lamar's been in and out recently. I think he's been practicing, but he hasn't been playing. Both teams could potentially making the playoffs, highly unlikely. They need Colts loss and a whole bunch of other results. Was this a disappointing season for the Ravens? I think so, but they've been so injured, been banged up, COVID, all the lot. So they've had, a really bad year personnel-wise. Steelers, on the other hand, probably getting a little bit more healthy towards the back end of the season, and Harris has really been helping them out. And Big Ben, I think, has played actually better in the last week or so. To me, it's going to depend on quarterback. I've picked the Steelers as Big Ben's last game, even though they're going to be at Baltimore, which is not great for Steelers generally. I think Big Ben will have a big game in his last one here. And if no Lamar, I think definitely for nothing for the Ravens.
Yeah, I'll go Steelers too here. Like we say, it's theoretical, but it's like in the realms of less than 1% chance. So pretty much both these teams playing for pride. The Bengals go through in the AFC North, and Steelers, and let's see what happens in Big Ben's last game.
How many sacks does TJ need? It didn't mention.
One. Okay. I think he's 21 and a half. He needs 1 to equal the record of 22 and a half, and then 1 to break it, I think.
Because he got, four on the weekend? He
got 4. So out of nowhere, TJ Watt went from being kind of a smoky for the NFL Defensive Player of the Year to probably a shoo-in and possibly the sack record holder. Obviously, a game extra helps. Mark, can you bring that one up? Does he need half a sack to get the record for himself, or does he need a full sack to
22 and a half is Strahan's record.
So he's on 21 and a half.
Okay. 1 to tie, 1 to anything after that to take the record.
Yep.
So one to tie, and then anything else solely owns it.
Yep. Monks, who's quarterback for the Ravens?
So Lamar Jackson did not participate at practice. I'm just trying to find what the depth chart is looking like.
They put him in cotton wool now that they can't make the playoffs.
Potentially, maybe. And let Huntley play.
Why, Rich?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Ravens, they've done so well with the situation around that team this year. They are,
they've got a good coach. Let's put it that way.
They are, 2 missed 2-point conversions away from being 10 and 6.
Yep.
with just so many players missing so much football.
Yep.
They're a very good football team. It's just hasn't been their year.
What do we think about that, lad? Going for two and trying to win games there and there. Obviously, it hasn't paid off for them. They talk about analytics these days, and it kind of suggests to try and go for it when you're there. What are our thoughts on going for two for the win?
Hey, if the players want to go for it on two, and the coach says, "Yeah, let's do it," I think you can back that because they've definitely won a game this year from going that way as well
against the Chiefs early in the year.
Yeah, so
I think I've heard Colin Cowherd, a US kind of podcaster as well, and he says that's their brand. Everyone in that building knows this is what we do. We go for it, and so everyone's on board with this is our identity. Yeah, we live by it, we die by it. So in that sense, you go, all right, everyone's on board. You have to take the good with the bad in that sense.
So Huntley,
I like it. I like it in theory. I think the execution could have been a lot better. The plays that they dialed up, I thought, were pretty lackluster.
Yeah.
I think if you look at like an Andy Reid playbook, or someone that's got a little something up their sleeve to bust out in that situation, you need something that you're confident that'll get you that 2 yards and it's a high percentage kind of thing. I think both times they've just kind of rolled out, tried to look for Andrews, someone's been on him, and the defense has been able to get all over it. I think what you need is a little bit of trickery, a little bit of show and tell, and something that you've got high confidence in being highly successful. But I don't mind the approach.
As a Packers fan, you probably want a bit more of that in your club. I'm guessing.
Possibly.
Yeah.
That might be where that opinion comes from. But I don't know. It's like it's like the movies. You want something that you've got up your sleeve that you haven't shown, that you can go to, and it's probably going to be a high percentage, and that you can pull out at the death, not just a quarterback roll right and look for your number one target.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So Huntley potentially going to be quarterback there. Monks, what was your picks for this one? And odds, please.
Yes. I think off the back of Steelers defense at the moment, I have also picked them. They're actually underdogs at the moment for this matchup. They're sitting at $2.70. The Ravens are sitting at $1.47.
That's interesting.
Yeah, we've got a line of 4.5 and total match points of 41.5.
If anything, unders in this one. They like to grind out a football match.
Defensive battle.
Yeah. So we then have the Jets taking on the Bills. Bills have clinched playoffs. Jets, of course, are very far away from playoffs again. They will want to win for seeding, of course, so they're going to come out and play well, but they can't get the first seed.
They're playing for the division title.
Yes. They're going to be in. It's just they don't want to be a wild card. Essentially, they want to be number one.
Yeah.
So
what's the tiebreaker saying? If both the Pats and the Bills win, they'll both be 11-6.
Yeah,
do you know who wins on the tiebreaker there?
Bills, I think, on like AFC conference record. Because they're 1-1 against each other.
Yes.
And so I think the next thing after that is the conference record, which I think the Bills have.
Right.
So Pats want the Jets to do them a huge favour. And look, Bills have lost to some crap teams this year.
So. They have, haven't they?
Yeah.
Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Who else? Someone else shit beat them.
Yeah. Maybe Finns. The Jets do have talent. I do like where they're going as a franchise at long last. But this is not the year, of course. I've picked the Bills to win this one.
Bills for mine.
Bills.
Mr. Muggy.
I've gone Bills as well. They are heavy favourites at $1.08. If you want to get on the Jets, they are sitting at $8 at the moment. We have a line of 16.5 and total match points of 41.5.
So we got Bengals taking on the Browns next. As mentioned, Baker is on injured reserve and going in for surgery. Bengals coming off an elite fortnight of football. Will Bengals potentially rest players in this? They are 10-6. I think 11-6 probably doesn't help them too much seeding wise. but it's still against a divisional rival. I think they want to come out and smoke them, and they potentially could. Even I think the Chubb potentially a half Chubb with the banged up ribs in this one. So I think the Bengals will win it irrespective. So for me.
Yeah, I don't think they'll be rested because they're such a young team. Yeah. They don't have that experience. If
you want to go in
hot. Chiefs who've been there, done that for a while, but like for these guys, it's pretty much all of them is going to be their first playoff series. I don't think they're getting rested.
Who's on that roster that's been to the playoffs before? I can't imagine it's many.
Probably their defensive end Hendrickson with the Saints, but
he's the only one.
Yeah, wouldn't be many.
There'd be a couple like veterans that have come across and joined the squad that would have, but for the big names, the guys that Mixon, Chase, Higgins, Boyd, Burrow, like their offense, a lot of those guys wouldn't have. I
think the only game they've dropped in their division, they swept the Steelers, swept the Ravens. Yep. They only lost to the Browns in their division. I don't think they'll want to be swept by the Browns, the two Ohio teams going against each other. I think they'll play all their good players and they'll win.
Yeah, especially leading into the playoffs. So, yeah. Marks?
I picked the Browns. Sorry, not Browns, the Bengals.
Oh, did you? The Browns?
No, he said Bengals.
Go on, Bengals. Underdogs. They're $3.13 at the moment. Browns are sitting at $1.37. Total, I've got a line of 6. Total match points of 38.
Well, if all those blokes play, like we said, potentially that's why they've got it low. If all those other blokes play, the Bengals could probably score all those points themselves.
So you're expecting the Bengals to score the lion's share of that one.
Yeah, so maybe the bookies kind of leading towards potentially some of these guys would be rested, but we will see. Then we've got the Pack taking on the Lions. The Pack have clinched the NFC North. The Lions very much helped jumpstart the Packers' season at the start of the year. So to get them to this point, were they 1-3? No, that can't be right.
No, because
they lost their first, and then they started turning around.
Yeah, that's right.
They started poorly in like the first half, or something, and then they fired up.
They have clinched the North, and they, I believe, have they clinched the 1 seed, or they?
No, Rams are contenders.
Yes, yes. So Rodgers has said he wants to play. Potentially got the MVP on his mind, as mentioned before with the stats there. He wants to keep in that race against Brady. We mentioned Hub a little bit earlier about calling Rodgers a bum and not going to vote for him. And we've talked about Rodgers' stats already for his picks. So he's elite, or in an elite company, potentially going to get his 4th MVP. For you as a Packers fan, perhaps you probably don't want Rodgers to get an MVP because they don't win Super Bowls often.
The curse.
Yeah, so I think Packers should win this game quite handily and dominate. I don't think Goff played last week.
No,
I think Boland played for them. So Boyle. Sorry, yeah.
No, Boland's back on the field.
Scotty Boland can't take 6 to 7 and quarterback the Lions at the same time.
You never know. Maybe he could.
But he's back on the field fielding for Australia, which is potentially what
listening to me. Yeah. I hope Rodgers has a week off. Rest up that toe. He had been whinging, that he was in pain. Surely you'd want to try and rest up and put it in the hands of the other boys. They should get the job done regardless of who plays quarterback. So that's my personal thoughts. Just going back to Hub Akush, he is one of the 50 media members who does get a vote. And he said he's not voting for Aaron Rodgers because he's a jerk. I don't think that necessarily means that should influence your voting. You need to vote on who you think is the best football player, your most valuable football player in the NFL season. For someone to come out and say that publicly, and for them to cast one of the 50 votes, Bit on the nose for mine.
Yeah,
I'd be having a look into that.
I mean, you can probably not get the Walter Payton Award because you're a jerk, but I reckon you can still get the MVP award if you're a jerk.
Yeah.
So.
I think Rodgers' comment as well, that if that's the case, you should change it to the most vaccinated player. It was a pretty good one as well. So.
That's pretty good. Well, if you've got
what about most immunised?
I mean, if you got these kind of blokes making these comments about the personality or personality traits or whatever they think about players off the field, then this then goes back to that whole chat about wide receivers and running backs. Like, is there some inherent line of thinking within these groups of people where, like, it has to be a quarterback, it has to be one of these type of players? Like,
I think I can't remember who made the comment in our group chat, but it's like it might have been you picking the most valuable of the most valuable that position, because you talk quarterbacks. If you don't have the quarterback, it's very, very hard, no matter how elite the rest of your team is, to make it into the playoffs and then to win. Yeah, so you're picking from that small cast.
Denver Broncos.
Yeah, exactly. So.
It's an unusual sport in that everything comes from that one position. There's not too many sports that I can think of where everything has to run through one man. I suppose, you think about rugby league or rugby union where everything has to sort of come through a halfback or a scrum half, but it's not quite the same. Yeah. It's probably the only sport in the world where one position dictates so much of the outcomes. I suppose that's the argument there.
Yeah, I agree. So, Monks, what's the odds for the Packers winning this by a lot?
Yep. So I'm assuming it's all for Packers. They are favourites $1.53. Lines are out at $2.51.
Potentially a bit further out than I thought, and that could lead to maybe they don't think Rodgers is going to play. Yeah. So interesting there.
I think they still got a lot to play for. The one seed. Yeah. Because it's just the one team and not the two teams that gets the bye. Yep. That's still huge. That's worth playing for. So that's interesting.
Yeah. And then Rodgers can rest his toe at that point.
Well, that's right. You get that week off anyway.
Yeah. So the next match, we got the Titans taking on the Texans. We talked about the Texans already beating the Titans this year. Titans have clinched their division and currently the one seed. And they will retain the one seed with a win. They have been pounding the rock of late with Foreman and Hillard, but they do get a guy named Derrick Henry back. All hail the king. He's off injured reserve, has been practicing all week. Unsure if he'll play in this one. Maybe they'll give him a few touches, so he's right to go playoff time. But I still think the Titans will win this. I think they should beat the Texans.
Titans for mine. They'll get the one seed.
Titans as well, but it is interesting. Texans have already knocked them off this year, but surely that doesn't happen twice.
No, not much to think about here. Titans for me as well. They are favourites $1.18. Texans are out at $4.95.
Yep.
With a line of 10. Total match points of 43.
Yeah. Don't like much of that.
Sam, you did mention before that the Bills like to lose to some shit teams. The Titans do the same. I think they've lost to the Texans. They've lost to the Jets this year. So can they put away these lackluster teams when it matters?
They've done very well against playoff caliber teams, which probably bodes well for their next month or so. But
So the next matchup, we have the Colts taking on the Jags. Colts can clinch playoff berth with a win. It's pretty simple for them. They have to beat the Jags. Surprisingly, I've picked the Jags to win this.
Really?
Yeah, the Colts haven't beat the Jags since 2014, so I'm gonna go with that statistic. They haven't beaten Jags in Jacksonville since 2014. So I've gone with the upset here and picked the Jags to win this one and upset the Colts.
I disagree. I think the Colts will get this job done here. I think they've been going in the right direction. Apologies to our fans of purely American football, but Johnny Bairstow has just turned up for England. Emotional scenes here at the SCG really picked him out of a pretty shit position, and looks like we've got a bit of a test match on our hands.
Yes, indeed. So after shell-shocking everyone with picking the Jags, what would it be?
Are you thinking, I know you're a big fan of like the fire the coach, then you get the win.
Yes.
Are you thinking that's just on like a month delay. That's got to come.
Well, they haven't had a win yet, so they need it.
Oh, that's got to come eventually.
Yeah,
they're going to have one win.
Historically, the Colts do bad in Jacksonville for whatever reason, so I'm sticking with the history here, and I've picked the Jags.
Like, I'm going to go Colts. I think, it's just sad to see Jaguars just year after year just be at the bottom of the table.
They've had some...
Always in the first 5 picks.
They've had some good good candidates for interviews for head coach go through there already, so hopefully they'll get someone of note and potential that can turn football Jesus and that team around.
Well, that's right. Lawrence is
coming
out of college. He was, one of the best prospects ever. And
I think even if the Jags win, they'll still get the first pick.
Maybe
because Jets, Texans are both in 4. Oh, Lions. Lions. Yeah, if they win, the Lions would get one.
Anyway, Colts.
But anyway,
Colts play playoffs.
Max?
Yep. Yeah, I've gone Colts as well. They are heavy favourites, $1.07.
Oh, sure.
Jags are out at $8.50. So Sean, you might want to get on that one. We've got a line of 14.5 and total match points of 44.
All right, big matchup. We've got the Dolphins taking on the Patriots. Pats have clinched playoffs as per the Bills, but they would want that seeding. So pretend they need a win here. Dolphins, of course, with their loss last week, has knocked them out. What are your thoughts, Steam, as a resident Pats fan, their year in review? How do you think they're going to go going forward into the finals?
I think regardless of what happens from this point, the year is a success. Mm-hmm. I think when you start a rookie at quarterback, and having talked about how important that quarterback position is, you start the rookie at quarterback, you make the playoffs, that's a success. If, as I said before, if the Jets do us a huge favour and knock off the Bills and we can come away with the division title, that'll be perfect. But making playoffs, success for the season, Jones has showed some good composure, good accuracy, been able to hasn't had to do more than he's been asked to do. And the defense, like so many years for the Patriots, has been excellent. Plenty of turnovers, JC Jackson picking off people at will. But the Dolphins in Miami, like you've mentioned with Colts and Jaguars, even during the Tom Brady era, Patriots, the one team, AFC East team, that did give them a bit of worries. And
overtime win.
Miami Miracle, et cetera. It is the Dolphins sometimes. So that's got me a bit worried. I'll still pick Pats, of course, but Dolphins do have this thing against the Patriots. They seem to play better.
Yeah, I don't know how many picks the Pats have in the next draft, but I think their draft's simple. It's just going to be lots of wide receivers because that's probably their biggest weakness. Get Jones some weapons going forward in the next year. But like you, I think they're heading in the right direction. Let's hope they haven't gone from Tom Brady to Mac Jones like Favre did to Rodgers. 'Cause I don't think that's fair on everyone else that's fans in the league. Mark's your picking odds?
No. I've gone Patriots as well. They are favourites at $1.35. The Dolphins are out at $3.21. We have a line of 6 and total match points of 40.
Yes.
Pepe, who did he pick?
Who'd you pick, Pepe? Pats, yeah.
Yeah.
Can we get to a decent game where we might get a Desmond?
I don't know.
There's not many.
There's not many in this one.
And speaking of, we should fly through these next two because they don't have any relevance to anything.
Yeah. So, as you mentioned, Bears taking on the Vikings all out of player contention. Has Nagy been fired? Is that official?
I think it's been
leaked. I think so. Mark, if you wouldn't mind chasing that up, I did see that on social.
Not obviously fired. Maybe his contract's up and he's not going to be re-signed.
Okay.
Because the reports are he
can find. I just did pop that in after seeing something getting around on social media. In the era of fake news, you do want to double check everything.
Yeah, the reports I could find there quickly has said that he won't return, which kind of leads me more likely his contract's up and they're not going to re-sign him.
Okay.
Which is probably fair and a good idea considering he's been absolute garbage for the Chicago Bears with the excellent defense he was handed.
Yeah, but what have they had to work with, you know?
Well, whoever comes in there's got Justin Fields, and it's interesting that Well, of the 4 first-round QBs, 2 of them will have new head coaches after their first year. In this one, I think the Vikings, with Kirk Cousins back, will get the win. They're more talented. They've got Cook and Jefferson. They'll kill them. That's my thought.
I agree. I'm going Vikings, and I'm going for a little Todd Carney PP. I'll see it in a second.
I'll go.
What, is that a bubbler?
Maybe it's good he's not on the video. But seems strange to me that Vikings
no one will ever know.
Have got 7 wins and Bears have got 6. Like, Vikings just seem so much better than the Bears, yet their record suggests they're only 1 win better. So that's
if you looked at their results, they've lost so many games by 2 or 3 points, and then lost games in overtime. They could
hasn't been just an issue this year, but has been over a couple of years. Yes. So it'd be interesting whether
they're paying Kirk Cousins $45 million
whether
next year.
Zimmer's seat starts to get a bit warm, but
there's some chat of that during the week.
Yeah, Vikings.
Yeah, Max.
I'm just quickly having a look at any news or reports on Nagy. What I've been reading are reports that he's going to be fired. So they're using the word fired.
So he'll finish the season off and they'll just fire him shortly.
Does your theory work?
In Black Monday?
Does your theory work for like the coach being fired, then the team winning? Does that work if you like preemptively fire the coach before the game? Does it? Are the Bears going to win?
You know what's going to happen.
Maybe we'll have to wait and see. The next matchup we'll fly through again. Washington football team taking on the Giants again, playing for pride in this one. The Giants are hot garbage, so I've picked Washington.
Yeah, Washington for me. Be interesting to see what Giants do in the off-season at quarterback, whether they stick with Daniel Jones or reboot again.
Do you reckon they need a reboot, or do you reckon he just needs weapons?
He's got all the weapons. He's hurt though.
Is it the offensive line that's the issue? Or
maybe.
But he has been turnover prone. But
yeah. I think they potentially could be in the market. If they don't get anything, maybe they stick another year and draft someone in the following year's draft because they're a bit light on this draft supposedly.
Yeah, I don't know who the prospects are this year.
Yeah.
So, but
Anyway, what are those odds, Max?
I've gone football team as well. Their favourites are $1.32. The Giants are out at $3.43, and we won't worry about line or
So Panthers are then taking on the Bucks in the next matchup. Bucks, of course, have clinched their division. Did so weeks ago. Panthers have gone 2-11 and since have gone 3-0 start. No, they had a 3-0 start and then have gone 2-11 since.
That's bad.
That's
real bad.
You probably go look at the injury report for CMC and then find out the correlation there.
Darnold is like they've had a bit of carousel at quarterback as well.
But I think Rule will get another year for them, though they did get rid of Joe Brady.
Yeah,
start this year or during the year, can't remember. Anyway. Are Bucks going to play their full team in this, or will they rest people? Because are they playing for anything? I don't think they can get one.
No.
What's the tiebreaker? Because if they win and the Packers were to lose, I still think the Packers get the one.
The games are in different time slots, so maybe like the Packers game is at the early slot, and then the
true. Yeah, maybe it'll be game
afternoon. So maybe the Bucks will know pre-game.
The Rams are still there though, so the Rams could potentially
whether they can get the 1 seed. True. Because if Packers win, no one else gets 1 seed. Pack have sewed it up.
True.
So
So I'll just quickly go through the tiebreaker procedure. Mm-hmm. So if the tiebreaker, it goes to head-to-head first, and then it's best one-loss tie percentage within the division, and then best one-loss tied in common games, and the same again in games played within conference.
Yep.
And if all that is equal, it goes to strength of victories
schedule
in all games, and then strength of schedule.
Oh, okay. So victory and schedule. Yep.
And then, it gets a lot more confusing after that.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it doesn't get that far down.
So it potentially they may not play starters if Pack win. Let's put it that way.
But they're getting unhealthy at the wrong time of year.
Yeah.
Aren't they?
Yeah,
they are.
With Brady's pretty much the only one left with playoff Lenny.
Yep.
Yeah.
They did get
Godwin,
Evans. They did get Evans back, but the rest
back.
of
now no AB on the team, obviously.
they did play Bell. He gets some snaps last week, so maybe he can do something for them playoff wise. But I still think the Bucks should win. I'd be interested to see what the odds are on this game, whether they kind of reflect potentially that Bucks might not have starters.
Yeah, I think with the Bucks, it's really just getting their tight ends more involved. Probably going 2 tight end set.
Yeah, even 3.
They could go 3. Yep. shoot Gronk out onto the maybe slot or
Howard probably makes more sense playing as a receiver.
Yeah. But going back to the odds.
So I assume everyone else was Buccaneers.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like Panthers 2-11. They're not good.
No. Marks?
So odds are Bucks are favourites $1.25. The Panthers are out at $4. Mm-hmm. We have a line of 8. Total match points of 41.5.
Yeah, I don't like that. What was the Bucks to win? What was the head to head? They were $1 what?
$1.25.
Yeah. Still short. They're probably shooting everyone's playing. Okay, late games on Sunday. Seahawks taking on the Cards. Again, disappointing year for the Hawks. Potentially Wilson's last game for the Seahawks and probably Pete Carroll's as well if Wilson leaves. I don't think Carroll's going to stay around for a rebuild.
Is he off contract, Russ, or what's...
Don't think so, but potentially they could try to trade him now for value to then do the rebuild with Carroll potentially retiring and a new head coach.
Yeah, okay. So I think this will be his first year that isn't a winning season.
Yes.
So that seems extreme talk that Russ could be out as a Seahawk. I mean, all he's done since he's got there is win. So with the QB1s, how hard they are to come by, it seems pretty big that you'd move off him.
And then it might be more in Wilson's camp potentially as well. They haven't really supported him too much.
Or is this just you Broncos?
I'd love to see it, but
just feeding that rumor.
But I'm not the one that started that rumor though. Like, there's definitely been some unhappiness at the start of the season in his camp. With the whole let Russ cook movement.
Yeah, hasn't served up.
He's led the most sacks taken in the league many times in his career because they haven't invested that well in the offensive line. Maybe he's like, hey, I'm 33, I think now. Maybe I've got another 5 years left in me. I am more of an athletic quarterback than the other two, so I've taken probably a bit more punishment than, say, when I say the other two, Rodgers and Brady have. So maybe my career is not going to be into the 40s. So can I see myself winning the Super Bowl with the Seahawks currently with the roster? Maybe not. Pete Carroll's, late in his 70s now. Like, he's potentially might not see out my next 4-year contract with the Seahawks anyway. Who knows? But in this game, it probably doesn't matter. Cards win.
Yeah, I think, Cards win. They've got far more to play for because I think what happens if Cards win and Rams lose?
And Bucks lose.
Well, no, I'm just thinking the NFC West title. I think the Cardinals can win the West if they win, but Rams lose.
Yes.
So that's incentive.
Yes.
As Seahawks just playing for pride. So Cardinals at home to win.
They can't get the one because of the Packers. But it probably doesn't matter if they jump the Rams or Bucks anyway. They've... Anyway, cards. Peps, cards?
Cards, yeah.
Yeah.
Max?
Just real quick back on Russell Wilson. He's got dead cap money of $26 million next season. So probably not too much incentive.
If they trade his contract, though, I don't think they get lubbed with that.
No, but that waits until late on in preseason. Is that right?
I think there's probably some ways around it. Because the dead cap is really only there for release from memory. So if you cancel his contract, you then have to pay that out.
Yep.
But if you trade his contract, you don't get hit with the dead money. I think that's how the salary cap works from memory.
Yeah, right. Still something for the organisation to think about. Sorry, see, I've gone Cards as well. They're favourites, $1.33. Seahawks are $3.34 at the moment. We have a line of 6.5 and total match points of 48.
2 games.
48.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a fair bit.
Cardinals can rack it up.
Seahawks scored 52 points against the Lions, so
against the Lions.
They can score points. All right, 2 games to go. 49ers taking on Rams. The Niners are still alive, and of course Rams have clinched playoffs and potentially will need to, if they want to win the West, win this match. I think the Niners have been better of late. I think Jimmy G's still going to be out for this one. Are we going to have a Trey Lance game?
Thumb. That was the issue last week.
I have still picked the Rams because I think the Rams are going to win anyway, irrespective of that. That's my thoughts.
Rams here.
I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to go 49ers because I think Shanahan owns McVay in their records.
True.
I think
they won earlier in the year, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. They pound the rock. They play physical football. I think 49ers G themselves up 4 games against the Rams. And I think 49ers have to win to get in.
Yes.
I think depending on what happens with the Saints and the 49ers for that last wild card spot. So
Saints have to be out. They're 8-8.
Yeah, but then if Saints win, 49ers lose.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So 49ers got a lot to play for. Have the wood over the Rams. 49ers.
Yeah, I can see that. Marks?
Just real quick on Jimmy G. He's still.
I think the last game, which is probably the game of the round, with closeness and for what could potentially happen in it. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But give us some odds, Marks.
All right. So Jimmy G's questionable.
Yep.
So we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah.
There's a lot of questionables. Game day decisions.
Means Jack Old does.
It does. I've done it for the big man. I have also gone the 49ers.
Hey, Desmond.
We'll have at least one. We'll
Desmond,
see how this next one goes. One. That's it. They are underdogs at $2.71 at the moment. The Rams are $1.47. We've got a line of 4 and total match points of 44.5.
Yeah, don't like any of that. Okay, last matchup. Sunday Night Football. We've got the Chargers taking on the Raiders, both 9-7. Huge game. Winner makes it through into the playoffs unless the Jags win, and then these two could play a draw and both make the playoffs.
Yeah, have you seen that? There's something going around that says if Jags win and then Colts lose, Bolts and Raiders could have a gentleman's agreement to kneel every single play and both make the playoffs.
Yeah, they play out a draw, and which would be hilarious on Sunday Night Football. Both make the playoffs in this. So it'd be hard to see that happening. You think one would play for the win, but they'd know the result by this point if the Jags win.
Jags have got to win first.
Another reason I picked the Jags just for this to happen. That's right. So, but a huge match between the two of them. You got to give props to the Raiders and what they've done this season after the season they've had off the field.
To even be in contention at this point.
You think with the Chargers, with their talent, and the Raiders kind of struggling a little bit with theirs, like Waller's been banged up for them. Hunter Renfro's been probably their best player on offense, and Derek Carr's been leading them around everywhere. I think I'd like to pick a draw in this, just for that world of that all happening. If I had to pick a team, I think I've picked Chargers. Yeah, I picked Chargers to win. What about you, lads?
I'm going to go the Raiders. A lot of adversity this year, a lot of stuff out of most of the players' control. Nothing against the Chargers. I think Justin Herbert is an elite quarterback. Yep. I think their defense is sneaky good, but I just love to see the story of the Raiders with all that they've been through. With the Gruden and the Rad stuff, if they were to manage to make the playoffs, I think it'd be really good for morale amongst the Rad Nation. So, just based on that, I'm going to go to the Raiders.
What about this end of the table?
Chargers for me. I was just trying to find who won their earlier matchup in the year. Does anyone know when these two teams played each other?
Didn't they play overtime in Vegas?
Chargers.
Yeah,
this game's in Vegas. No, it would have been in LA.
Yes, it was.
It was an overtime at SoFi, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, overtime at SoFi. And didn't the Raiders win?
It wasn't overtime. I don't know why I said it was overtime. Chargers won 28-14.
Okay. Yeah, Chargers won the other.
I could see a similar scoreline happening in this one.
We got to remember it's prime time. It's in Vegas. That means overtime.
True, got to go to extras.
Yeah, that's a statement.
Yeah.
So this will be a close football match, I think. So we've got two Chargers,
two Chargers,
one Raider so far. Pep, Monks on the end table.
It's all right. We've already had one.
We've already had one. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I've also gone the Chargers. Their favourites $1.59. The Raiders are out at $2.38. We do have a line of 3, so very close game there. And total match points of 49.5. A few points there.
Yeah.
Yes. And with that, that'll wrap up the NFL Hour for this week.